Govind Ramu is a quality management professional from Fremont, California. He has more than 25 years of experience implementing quality management systems. He's the chair for US TAG ISO TC 176 Subcommittee 1 on ISO 9000 2015 standards. A licensed professional engineer, mechanical engineer in the province of Ontario. Ramu is also an ASQ fellow, holds 6 ASQ certifications: quality manager, quality engineer, Six Sigma black belt, quality auditor, software quality engineer, and reliability engineer. Ramu has authored ASQ's certified Six Sigma yellow belt handbook, co-authored ASQ's certified Six Sigma green belt handbook, and is a major contributing author for the Lean certification handbook. He contributes regularly to the ASQ Quality Progress magazine in the Expert Answers section. He's a 3-time examiner for the California Awards for Performance Excellence and a 2010 examiner for the Baldrige Award. More information is available at ASQ site about him. Govind, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Laura. Thanks for that introduction. Good morning to everyone. Today's presentation is Integrated Management Systems. The agenda we are going to cover is first briefly do an introduction of Integrated Management System. Then we will talk about implementation guidance. Finally, we will summarize with some of the challenges for such implementation as well. And let me start with the presentation by asking few questions. You know, typically when I do this presentation, listen from an audio, I want you to think about this. How many of you have more than one management system implemented in your organization? Usually there are many organizations with more than one. So you may want to think about it. And how many of you currently have an integrated management system? What are your challenges? You know, because anytime when you implement a change or any improvement, there are always some challenges prior to that implementation or during the implementation. What are your challenges? Think about that as well. Can you imagine how an unintegrated management system look like? And if you are experiencing one, probably you know those challenges as well. And to understand this integrated management system, I should start with the framework called Annex SL. This was recently developed by the International Organization for Standardization, ISO. And what is a high-level structure, also known as HLS? The high-level structure is a framework for management systems with identical subclass titles, identical text, and common terms and core definitions. Why do we need a high-level structure? There are many management system standards, and if you are one of the organizations that implements multiple management system standards, if the structures are not aligned within the management system standards, then it will cause a burden to the organization that is implementing those management systems. So basically, this high-level structure helps with the compatibility and ease of use with other management systems to avoid overlap, in some cases even contradiction. So we will see more what we talk about on this in the subsequent slides. So these are the structure for the high-level structure. The classes being, you know, class 1 is scope, class 2 normative references, class 3 terms and definitions, class 4 context of the organization, class 5 leadership, class 6 planning, class 7 support, class 8 operation, class 9 performance evaluation, and class 10 improvement. So any new management system standard that has been revised to adopt the high-level structure, you should see exactly these 10 classes in those revised management system standards. So here is an example. Here are the standards that currently follow the high-level structure. So obviously the most popular one being quality management system requirements, ISO 9001:2015. Then the environmental management system, ISO 14001:2015. The recently published ISO 45001 occupational health and safety management system also follows the high-level structure. There are other standards, like, for example, information security, asset management, anti-bribery. All of them also follow high-level structure as well. So moving forward, any new management system standard that is being developed by the ISO will follow this high-level structure. This will help organization to implement with ease and synergy. So again, I'm moving into the participant interaction here. Imagine that your organization is developing a proprietary process that involves a special ingredient to significantly improve the performance of a product. Organization does a great job applying quality systems and launches the product. Boom, now you have other challenges. You took, from the quality systems point of view, all the necessary precautions to make sure that the product is successful. How about the other aspects? Did the special ingredient meet environmental requirement for the geography or the regions where the product will be deployed? Where the users are adequately trained to handle the product to prevent any unsafe exposure to those special ingredients? There may be even others, depending upon the nature of the product or the service that you provide. So to illustrate the benefit of the integrated management system, we need to first understand a process approach model. This is a generic process approach model that you can find from the ISO 9001:2015 standard. Basically, this has sources of inputs that come into the process, and what are the inputs, and what are all the activities. That means the sequence and interaction of the activities, and what is the output of the process, and who are the receivers of the outputs. So this you would normally do while defining your business processes. And you also have a common, you have control points for every stages, right from the sources of the inputs to all the way through to the receiver of the outputs. So this is a very common and a typical generic process model. So now let us apply this process approach model to a business process called incoming inspection. So I chose this process because irrespective of the industry, anyone can relate to this process. So you have material coming inside your organization that requires some level of inspection. So you have a business process to conduct incoming inspection. And we have only applied quality management system requirements to this flow and the process approach model. So let's talk this through. You have the sources of inputs, which are the external providers who provide the materials to the organization. You have external and internal documented information that are used in order to review and inspect the product. You have organizational resources that are required. You have people who are trained, qualified to be able to do the inspection. Then you have the input, which is the material itself and the inspection method. You have the inspection equipment that is calibrated and stable in order to use for the application. Then you have the sequence of activities, which is the transportation of the material, applying the inspection method. Then you complete the necessary documented information once the inspection is completed. Then you transport the material back, depending upon the outcome of the inspection, whether if it is passed, then it will go into your warehouse. If it fails, then it is returned back to the supplier. Then the output is the inspection outcome, basically out of this process. And who are all the receiver of the outputs, which is the supply chain management in your organization and the warehouse. So this particular process approach uses a quality management system requirement. What if this organization also has additional management systems implemented, like say environmental and occupational health and safety? Typically what happens is the quality team works on a process approach like this, and the environmental person responsible creates a separate documentation, and the occupational health and safety person creates another documentation. There are three different processes, three different set of documentation. Even there could be three different set of tools, software applications, and anything could happen in a large organization, because in a large organization, people are less likely to know what's happening on the other side of the organization. So let us take a look at how an integrated management system will look like. So the quality, environmental, and occupational health safety subject matter experts sit together during the process definition and product, during the process revision, and they integrate the environmental, occupational health and safety requirements on top of the existing quality management system requirements. In this case, it is identified using a red font. There could be more, depending upon the additional management systems that organization uses. Say, for example, they have also information security management system or energy management system. So there could be items that are applicable within the incoming inspection process that are related to those management system as well. So one process approach, process model that outlines the sources of the inputs, activities, outputs, and receiver of outputs includes all the management system requirements and the expectations in one place, one documentation. This is highly scalable. This is maintainable. This is very efficient for the organization, and it helps improve the bottom line of the organization, which is why many organizations implement management systems in the very first place. So let's talk this through. This sounds good, but if you are registered to these management systems and you want your registration body to recognize your integrated management system, what are all the things that you should expect from them? So this is just one example from one of the registration body, which I have experienced in the past. So typically what they expected was you should have an integrated level 1 manual. So here I want to give you an additional note. The level 1 manual, or in the past we used to call quality manual or environmental manual or occupational health and safety manual at the highest level, that is optional today on the new revision. It's not required as one of the mandatory documents. Having said that, many organizations who already had those level 1 manual, they find that it is easier for them to continue with the level 1 manual for convenience, because they use that manual as a high-level framework to map the other level 2, level 3 documentations all the way down. So they didn't necessarily, many organizations, from my experience, they did not just go ahead and obsolete a level 1 manual, they continue to keep them. So if you do have one, this would be a good documented information to have an integration done. Then obviously management review, when you do a management review, you don't want to have 3 different management review, because the top management team who attends the management review, their time is so precious, they don't want to be sitting in 3 different meetings. So if you could have one management review, that is a lot of productivity improvement right there. Then the documented information overall for the entire management system, which we will cover in the next few slides, that can also be integrated. For example, is there a common system for identification, maintenance, and disposition of quality, environmental, and safety records? Then the personal competency, can that be all put in one location? Examples like that. Internal audit, it would be one of the expectations that the integrated management system uses an internal audit system that is common to all the 3 management systems. You could potentially do an integrated audit as the skill set and competency has been enhanced for the auditors, but at least you could do a concurrent audit where the quality environmental health and safety people, they join together and they perform one audit together as a concurrent audit. This would be a major productivity improvement for the audit process and the auditees as well. And you may have heard complaints from the business process owners in every organization. Why am I being audited so many times? This is because it's due to not having a good planning in place during the internal audit. If we could combine forces and have one integrated audit, that would be a common sense approach to managing this process. Non-conformance management, again, you would want to have one common system, and measurement test equipment management, which is your calibration system, also should be as one integrated system. So these are a typical expectation for this registration body, but it could vary for different organizations. So here is a list of documented information that could potentially be an integrated management system could use, which is the level 1 manual. As I mentioned, it is optional. If you have one, have it integrated. Then the quality EH&S policy, if you have other management system like information security and energy, then those policies all integrated into one policy. Then you have the level 2 documents, so typically like control of documented information, measurement and test equipment, and non-conforming materials. So there are no mandatory requirement for level 2 documents in the current revision. However, the organization that has been already using such documentation and they have not obsoleted that, they could find an opportunity to integrate in the level 2 documents as well. Level 3, things like a document master list, a measurement and test equipment list. You don't want to keep quality related measurement and test equipment master list and environment specific and occupational health and safety specific. So it can all be integrated. Similarly, this would be a very ideal scenario. Typically you have FMEA for quality related, and the environmental team has environmental aspect and significant impact table. Then the safety team has a hierarchy. So if we could combine all this risk into one consolidated risk, this would be a good way to present at the management review as well. So here are some of the examples. What I have done here in this table is basically, show 2 different phases of maturity here for every section. Say, for example, section 4.1, context of the organization and actions to address the risk. In the early stages, you can have a common register or a tool for capturing all the management-related internal and external issues, risk and opportunity. Capture may happen in multiple forms, through internal meetings or through inputs from external consultant or by doing some level of environmental scanning. Once the maturity of the organization evolves and reaches a higher level, then you can have a single forum to solicit and capture all the internal and external issues, risks, and opportunities that impact the management system. For example, a broad enterprise level risk management approach. So that's a higher level of maturity. Take the improvement in phases, because once you try to do the highest level of maturity, even when the organization is not ready for the initial phase, you will be setting yourself up for failure. So, take the improvement in small chunks, so that way the resources are not stretched. Same with the document information, level 1 manual where the organization chooses to keep. You can have a common process for documentation, measurement, test equipment, internal audit, some of these processes. But as the organization matures and evolves to a higher level of maturity, now you can start thinking about having an integrated approach to every process within the organization. But if you try to do that at the right first time, even in the early stages of the integration, the process owners might feel this is very overwhelming, very resource intensive, takes a lot of time commitment, and they have other competing projects going on in the organization that are revenue impacting. So they may not give you the necessary support to do everything at one time. So take it in incremental steps. So here, I'm not necessarily going to read out all those things because this presentation is going to be available for you, so you can read it yourself. Similar approach you could take for internal audit, management review, non-conformity and corrective action, and continual improvement. There are some recommendations for you on what you could do during the early stages of the integrated management system. And once you assess the maturity level and it started to mature, when you say maturity means you have an established tool, the resources are committed, and the process is repeatable and reproducible, and the stakeholders understand the intent of the management system, integrated management system. That is where your maturity evolves. Then you can take it to the next level, as mentioned in the following column there. So let's talk about the challenges. Any improvement initiative doesn't come with easy. Everyone knows that. So there are going to be always challenges in implementation. So internally, not all organizations are an immediate candidate for integrated management system. This might come to you as a surprise because there are organizations with low volume, high mix requirements of multiple different customer segments. Say they supply for automotive, medical device, aerospace, telecommunication, and different industry segments. Everyone have nuances of requirements that are different from each other. So in this case, the integrated management system is possible, but it could get complex, and you have to weigh in whether this is the right approach for that. Maybe there could be a different way to do that. Then the resistance from the internal management, so it's like any other initiative. When you bring it up, people say it will not work here. We have tried it before. Will create more confusion. So all the sound bites will start up here. So you need to have a good, talking points and business case explaining the benefits of the integrated management system. Maybe even use your own organization's instances where there are replication of efforts within the organization in silos. Use that as an example and show how much it costs the organization to have such to work in silos and have such parallel efforts going on between the management systems, and that could bring some visibility into the benefits of the integrated management system. The risk of generalization and losing the speciality, so people say that, are you doing the integrated management system for the sake of it, or are we going to address the intent? The intent is to have a synergetic approach and having an efficient organization that can have reduce the waste and bring bottom line benefits to the organization. But we shouldn't do anything for the sake of integrating, so watch out for that, because there are specialty expectations in quality, environmental, health and safety, energy and information security that need to be highlighted and make sure that it is not lost in the process of generalization. Human factors, again, there is always going to be anxiety. Who leads the effort, basically. So if you are doing an integrated management system, typically quality requirements for the business processes are predominant compared to the environmental and occupational health and safety. So the quality person tend to lead the overall integrated management system effort. But if the environmental person want to lead or occupational health safety want to lead, it is okay to do that, as long as that person can understand the implications on all the management systems. We should allow to do that, whoever wants to do that, because the intent is to have an efficient organization. While doing that, the people from the other management system who have been managing in silos, they may get very anxious about their job. What if this person take over my job? So the management and the sponsor for this initiative should alleviate such concerns and make sure that no job is lost because of that. And it is doing, the integrated management system is being implemented for the efficiency and benefit of the organization. And, already invested, infrastructure, because say, for example, the environmental health and safety team and environmental and occupational health and safety, they may have already bought some databases and software applications and hired contractors for doing whatever they were doing before. And now this integrated management system is going to probably make all those things obsolete into one system. So, there may be resistance to, do I need to relearn a new application? And, what happens to all the things that we did in the past? So all those concerns need to be addressed. Those are all genuine concerns that need to be addressed. But there is, everyone would agree there is no need for redundancy within the organization. So that is where it is. Then the documentation tend to combine into a single document rather than to integrate. So when you are integrating the document, you need to truly integrate. It is not copy pasting 3 different management systems one below each other. It needs to resonate and make a true meaning of integration. On the external side, the challenge I want to caution you is when you are doing an integrated management system audit, the availability of the external auditors in the certification body may not be that great. Depending upon the registration body, there may be just only very few who have the ability to do 2 or 3 management systems audits. They have to be qualified to do that. So sometimes it will require to fly in people from coast to coast to do this integrated audit, but you do enjoy the benefits, which I'm going to talk about it in the next slide. So the benefits internal, reduces the redundancy in documented information. Audits are become more efficient and less interruption to the business processes. This is going to be music to ears for your business process owners. They are already frustrated by the auditing team bombarding them for 3 different times for three different scope of audits: quality, environmental, and occupational health and safety, or maybe information security and energy as well. And so now once they know that, hey, look, guys, we are going to combine forces and do one integrated audit, you are going to invest only one time to answer all of our questions. So they are going to love this. And infrastructure, a centralized database, data management, software application, these are going to save a lot of money on a long run for an organization, because you don't need to have multiple database with multiple license maintained. So the maintenance of such infrastructure is going to be helpful, because with one, you can invest on resources who are skilled in that one. Organizational business process owners, learn to see the life cycle view of the products end to end, not just superficially looking at just the quality piece or the environmental or occupational health and safety. They start from the inception to the disposal of the product, all the way through the entire life cycle. They can understand what are all the implications of quality, environment, and occupational health and safety, energy, and other aspects. External significant savings in the audit costs. So the registration body who I work with, I think typically also it's in the followed by many other registration bodies as well, is they can give up to 20% of reduction in the audit time if you have integrated management system. So imagine if you are having 10 audit days worth of audit for your size and the nature of your organization, they will reduce it by 20% and you will have only 8 days of audit. So these savings add up over time as cost savings for the organization. Here are a lot of references on integrated management systems. I would recommend you to go and take a look at each one of them, and there are very useful information in there to understand more about the integrated management system. I would highly recommend you to go and download the Quality Progress article, May 2017 issue on standard issues, called All Together Now. So that article covers in more detail as to the implementation experience on integrated management system. So this is all we have for now, and thanks for your patience listening to the presentation. Finally, I want to thank International Auditors Symposium for this opportunity, and Ms. Laura Smith for her persistent coordination and support during this entire recording process, and really appreciate the patience. And finally, for all those listeners, thank you for listening. And this is Govind Ramu.
Thanks, Govind. This ends today's presentation. Thanks for listening.